The 1950s and 1960s was a defining moment for African Americans. In this time period, it was known as the Civil Rights Movement, a cultural event that defined the rights and social injustices of African Americans. African Americans were highly discriminated, and segregation was prevalent at the time. Many African Americans did not know where to go, who to turn to, or what to do for the situation going on around them. It all started here.
Born in 1941, Emmett Till was raised in Chicago by his mother, Mamie. Emmett's father, Lewis, was killed in combat in 1945. Although he spent his youth in Chicago, Emmett and Mamie kept in contact with relatives in Mississippi.
In 1955, he was lynched for supposedly whistling at a white woman on the elevator. Who would have thought that this would change the nation as we know it? In December of 1955, on her way home from her seamstress job, Rosa Parks and 3 other black passengers were asked to give their seats to a white male on the bus. She and the passengers refused, and as a result, they were arrested for disrupting the laws that they abide by. This event would lead to the Montgomery bus boycott, a boycott of riding the bus, allowing many people to define their rights by walking rather than riding the bus.
Hey, how you doing? How do you feel about the bus boycott and how is it affecting you right now?
Hi, how are you? Well, I feel as if Rosa Parks, who was a great friend of mine, she didn't. She refused to give up her seats to a white gentleman on the bus. If I was her, I wouldn't have got up either, because of the simple fact that in the Constitution, it states that all men are created equal and endowed by their Creator, which means my race as well as their race should be equal.
In Arkansas of 1957, African American students enrolled in Little Rock Central High School. This happened due to the historic Supreme Court case known as Brown versus the Board of Education. This court case will call for the desegregation of schools, which will also put a highlight on all 9 of those African American students who walked through that building. Here is one of those students. Here at Central High School, they put me and my other friends here to come make a change. When we got off that bus and walked into the double doors, we heard those people saying all these negative things about us. They said this and that. They said so many things just trying to break our spirit. But we knew that once we came through those doors, it didn't matter anymore, because we are already part of the change. And everything from this point forward was about to change for all of us.
Dramatize a shameful condition.
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was possibly the most influential leader of the civil rights movement. His empowering words and inspiring views on how we should all come together and how all men are created equal inspired the nation in many ways and impacted others as well.
When we allow freedom ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last.
What was the impact of Martin Luther King assassination?
The impact was very shocking. Like, you have a very political and religious leader, and he just gets assassinated, and the whole world, well, the race, the culture, we're looking at each other as if we can't go on. And it's like we all have to rise up and be a leader. Everyone has to be a leader for us to come together as a race and get our rights and end segregation.
And also, riots was a big factor with the death of Martin Luther King. It sparked many riots in the South, especially his town of Birmingham, Alabama, and it caused a lot of violence, killings, people going to jail, but that impacted the world as a whole.
Muhammad himself, primarily because the image that he had created was the image that enabled his followers to remain strong in faith.
As well as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X was also one of the most influential activists at the time. But unlike Martin Luther King, Malcolm X emphasized the different sorts of racial acts against Caucasians and other people of that nature during the time. He praised the different things that African Americans needed to do in order to rise up against the hate that they endured, up until his assassination in 1965.
The death of Malcolm X, before he died, he did tell, he told the world that the Islamic Nation was after him since he was a Muslim. And when he prepared to do a speech 2 days after he told the world, he ended up getting killed with a sawed-off shotgun, but also multiple gunshot wounds was found in his arms and his legs and all over his body. He got shot 21 times. That really stopped with that. Also that Civil Rights Act of 1964. That stopped the first stop of the Civil Rights Movement. But with the killing of Martin Luther King, that sparked it up again with the riots and everything, and that ended up starting the rise of the Black Panther Party, which they was trying to stop violence also and stop the world from becoming just so down on a race with, it's just race wars like white versus black when it's not supposed to be like that. And the Black Panther Party, which symbol like this, it ended up stopping the second Civil Rights Movement.
All right, class, we're going to begin learning about the Civil Rights Movement.
Taught in classrooms throughout the nation, the Civil Rights Movement is one of the most impactful events to ever happen in American history. A long trudge to stop looking at the world as black and white and to see the brighter colors within each and every one of us. It took the minds, souls, and hearts of many to achieve this great feat. And we continue to grow each and every day. It has allowed us to witness some of the greatest African American political leaders, male or female, entertainers, and yes, even athletes of our generation. They too don't mind finding the true love of their colors with the people around them and everywhere else that they can find it. As we look back at everything it took to get us to this point forward, it's clear to see that the power of love can easily drive out the power of hate, and we each can come together to find our true colors and to make an impact on the world. That's our spark.